Welcome to another edition of First and 10 with Rams football coach Joe Prud'homme. I'm Jimmy the St. Christopher. Rams had their sixth straight win at home over the last few seasons, a 52-0 whitewashing of the Oklahoma Panhandle State Aggies at Farrington. Scoreless first quarter, and then the Rams turned it on the second quarter. Carson Rogers got the start. Why did you start Rogers this game?
We had Dale missed a meeting, and so we decided that he wouldn't start, and so gave Rogers a chance. And he needs some game experience anyway. And coming off, getting a start would be a good way to do it. And then Dale was going to come in on the third series, which he did, and kind of went from there.
He was a little sluggish, Rogers was, in those first two possessions. Was that because he doesn't get that many reps?
He gets plenty of reps. I think it was more of a nerve issue than anything else. I think that, coming out and getting the start, he was a little nervous at the time. But when he came back and we brought him back in the fourth, or third and fourth, he was sharp. And that was, it gives him an opportunity to knock the rust off a little bit, get a chance to play. And I'm going to chalk it up to nerves for the first start.
And Dale was 7 out of 16, 193 yards, couple TDs.
Yep.
Was that big pass play to the Red Ranger, Rolf, for 77 yards that led to a score? Did that wake the offense up?
Big spark. Yeah, I thought that was a spark that really got us going. We were moving it a little bit, but a big play like that, and Rolf almost takes it to the house, splits the defense, and that got us going. That was a great way to get going.
And then Caden Glasgow, tight end, but he's also a lineman.
Yeah.
He got in on the act too. He caught a touchdown pass. How is that fun to put in a guy like that who's a tight end, but also listed as an offensive lineman who can, the jumbo package, the elephant package? Are those fun?
Yep. Yeah, it is. He's not a starter on the offensive line, but he's so good he could be a starter at any time. We had to find a way to get him reps and an opportunity to play, and he's a great tight end blocker. He's been telling us he can catch the ball, and he does in practice, does a pretty good job with it. And we just want to give him an opportunity to catch it. It was his first career touchdown, by the way. That's why there was so much excitement about it, and all those guys were fired up because Caden works his tail off. And to get the opportunity to make that catch in his first career touchdown, that was a big moment for everybody.
And you're talking about the Aggies being well coached. Is that the reason it was a little sluggish or a scoreless first quarter?
Yeah, I think everybody wanted to say that we were so sluggish, and we were, but they were giving us some bad plays. I mean, they had a really good scheme. Excuse me. They had a good scheme. They executed it well. They had a lot of young guys, and I think the experience kind of took over in that second quarter. But that I give them all the credit. Majeski had a good plan. The kids were executing it well. They were slowing us down, and a lot of it had to do with their scheme and what they were doing. They did a good job with it.
How big was that forced fumble by Elijah Hall and then the Chance Carroll recovery at the end of the first quarter?
It was huge. They had just had a really good play right there. They had just ripped off a nice run. They were starting to get a little momentum, and then instantly, boom! Elijah causes the fumble, and Chance takes it, and it was a big momentum switch. It really was. You could feel the swing and the momentum, and that was a big play for us.
On the other side of the ball, Dylan Petway, Archie Williams, Jay Reed, Vondres LaFrance, Jose Bonilla, Kobe Adams combined 34 tackles, 2 sacks by Sean Tolbert, and a total of 13 TFLs, that's tackles for losses, 169 total yards. What makes this defense so good?
They're real aggressive. There's a lot of speed on the defense. They're technically sound. The scheme that we play is an attacking scheme. It's not a bend but not break defense. So we're going to cause some turnovers. We're going to cause some TFLs. It's just making sure we don't give up the big plays. That's when we get in trouble. And knock on wood that we haven't done much of that. And it's just a lot of pressure on you. And they come at you. There's a rotation on the line. Some of the linebackers are rotating out, so we're keeping fresh bodies coming, into play. And it's just the way Duckworth has them playing. They're very much of an attacking style defense.
What do you want to see improved on any side of the ball?
Penalties. We had 3 offsides calls, 2 on defense, 1 declined, and then 1 on our special teams. And we got to get better on penalties. We just do. We wanted to improve in the red zone. We did. We went 6 of 7 in the red zone. I thought our kicking game was much better. I thought the pin down on the punt when Caleb McKinney got flying down there and left-handed tap out of the end zone, and then we downed it at the 1. Those are hustle plays, and those are what win you ball games. I want to continue to improve there, but just don't give up the big play and have a better start this week. Last week we did. Against Arizona Christian. This week it didn't quite have the start we needed. And this group we're playing this year or this week, Ottawa, they live on fast starts and trying to bury you in the first half. And so we got to be ready to play. We got to have a better start.
And how do you go about improving penalties? And do you do just like what specific penalty it is, if it's a false start or if it's encroachment or pass interference? Do you just practice those over and over, those specific penalties that are being violated?
Yes, you work on the actual technique of it, but you also have to sometimes have some behavioral modification in place to some consequences when they do jump in practice or they do, that penalty. Then you'll have some sort of consequences for that, and it can change it. But the key is to point it out and to really work on it and to get better at it. The defensive holding call, yeah, it was a good call. Technically, it was a good call, but I've seen it not called. The holding calls on offense were there for sure, and we had a couple of unsportsmanlikes where they didn't need to say anything. One of them was a little bit over the top, but the other one was definitely the special teams after the extra point. Somebody says, "Hey, look at the scoreboard. That's where it's at." It's unnecessary. Everybody can see the scoreboard. Just go play. So if we would have knocked out the 3 offsides and the 2 unsportsmanlike, you're down to 5. That's 3, and our goal is 4. So 4 or less, and we would have been under our goal. So that would have been an improvement area, but it becomes a focus issue and a control your emotions issue, and even a technique issue at times.
And not to criticize rules or the penalties that are called or the officiating, but what do you think is the most stupid penalty and shouldn't be called?
I think, golly, that's a great question. I would say the penalty I would like to see called the least. I think the call that doesn't get called enough is the push off of the offensive receiver. When the receiver, the offensive pass interference doesn't get called as much as it needs to. Golly, so many times you see him just stiff arm a guy and it doesn't get enforced. But then there's the ticky-tack where they barely push off and they call it. So I don't know. I think golly, Jimmy, that's one of the best questions I've ever had. I would say probably the defensive holding sometimes I think is a little bit, should be called more, and it's unevenly enforced. Some of the taunting calls, like we had a call yesterday, was one kid was asking the other, "Who got the sack? Who got the sack?" And he got flagged, thinking they were talking that they had sacked, but they were talking to each other away from the play. So I thought that was, but I understand they were trying to get the game under control because it was getting pretty chippy at that point. But you stumped me. I don't know.
And there is another stumper, but who designates the penalties? And is it the same for the NCAA and the NAIA? Is there one like board of rules committee that that designate all the penalties?
Yes, we go by NCAA rules, and we follow those. And yeah, it's all one governing body, how they do it, and it's TASO here, and they do a really good job overall. Yeah, I thought the officiating was really good the other night.
Another home game for the Rams. They play Ottawa Saturday night, 7 o'clock at Farrington. Ottawa, 10th ranked. Mm-hmm. What do you see in them?
They're the champs. They're the conference champs. They went to the playoffs. They gave Morningside all they wanted, who went on and won the national championship. They are where we want to be. We want to be where Ottawa is. And what they've done with their program is really impressive. They've reloaded that whole offense and the defense. A lot of guys back on defense, but they've done a great job of building something, having a vision, and executing it. And they go fast, and they put players in positions to make plays, and very aggressive on defense, high tempo offense, really strong special teams. We got our hands full. We want to be where they are. So in order to do that, we have to go out and prove that we're, should be there and that we can beat them. And we feel like if we give a great team effort and we can be really, really sound and efficient in all three areas, we got a shot. We're going to have to force some turnovers. We're going to have to do some things, but we're capable of doing it. It's just a matter of having a great week of work, preparation, and if all that comes to play, then we'll be all right. We'll be fine.
Do you think so far that this is the biggest challenge of the year, and do you think it's going to be the biggest challenge of the year?
It's the biggest challenge this week. How about that?
Okay.
It's the biggest challenge to date at this point in the year. Once this week goes in the books, then the next one will be the biggest challenge, and I think it'll be, I don't know which ones it'll be. It's really young in the season, but it's they're a big challenge. They're the biggest one to date, and we knew that going into this year. Even when you look at the conference poll, they got 7 of the 8 or 8 of the 9 first place votes. That tells you what people think of them. We got like 7 of the second place votes, so that's what people think of us. So in order for us to change that dynamic, we have to go out and we have to take it from them. They're not going to give it to us. They're well coached. They're going to come in. They're very experienced. It's going to be a battle.
And they decked Sagu last week. They were behind early, and they reeled off 36 straight points.
Yeah.
And I noticed they rotated 2 quarterbacks. Do they do that normally, or is that what they do every week?
They did not the first week, not so much. And this is a new development. It's not what they've done in the past, but I think it's something they found and they like. So I think that that gives us a different dynamic of preparation. Now we got 2 guys to prepare for as opposed to 1, and know something about the back and be prepared for. But now you got 2 types of different quarterbacks that are really, really good in their own right. So it's going to be a challenge.
How strong are they on defense?
Oh, they're great on defense. They fly. They have all kinds of blitzes and stunts, and they run lots of different combo, coverages. Primarily a man team, but they will get in some zone. And you just have to be really prepared. We got to prepare for a lot, and we just have to execute it. The one thing we can't do is to overthink it and try to do too much. We got to be true to who we are, and if we do that, we'll be okay. If we don't, if we get big-eyed or we get starry-eyed and don't execute and don't prepare well this week, then we're gonna have some problems.
And one last one, I noticed last week, the cowbells on third down. I never heard those in 6 previous seasons of doing games. Is that the first time you ever heard the cowbell?
Yeah, it's the first time I've heard them. I thought it was great.
Yeah,
I love it. It was great. That's something that Gino has come up with, the stadium announcer, and the Ram Club has really got behind that and pushed it. And I think it's a cool deal. That's one thing about us. We're still such a young program. You see traditions as they unfold and evolve. So a year from now, that'll be what they do all the time, and you'll be the guy that says, "Hey, I remember the first day. It was OPSU back in 2022, November or September 9th." So,
and it adds to the ambience. The crowd's getting into it and you hear those cowbells. So
it's great. I love it. Yeah.
Well, hopefully they'll be ringing those a lot on third down. You'll be stopping them on third down come Saturday nights.
That's the goal. That's what our plan is.
Good luck on Saturday night, Coach Joe Prud'homme, as the Rams will face the Ottawa Spirit at Farrington Field, 7 p.m. kickoff. We'll be on the air. I think I'm solo this week. Brendan Snow has to be a groomsman in a wedding up in McKinney, so I'll be without my color analyst. But Tony Baker, by the way, did a great job spotting. So
really sharp.
We're going to try to get Tony on air, maybe to do a few comments on the defense. Because he was helping us out. He was pointing out, Sir Hill's in at the nose tackle and stuff. So
he's good. He's very bright. He's a sharp kid and good player. And you'll have him. You can have him some, but I'm going to need him back. You know what I mean? So
maybe we'll have a star in the making as far as the media goes. So anyway, Saturday night, 7 p.m. at Farrington, Rams and the Ottawa Spirit. It'll be a good one. Till next time, for Coach Joe Prud'homme, Jimmy the St. Christopher saying so long. See you next time on First and 10.